apprentice welders and a work ethic.
Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name's Isaac Long. I'm the owner of Long's Fab and Repair in Chickasha, Oklahoma. It's been a couple days, almost a little over 2 weeks since I come back to you guys. Family went out of town. We went and enjoyed some time with friends that I consider family down in Houston, where I'm from. While I was down there, I got a heck of a deal that I think off of Marketplace. Like I told you guys, I love Marketplace. I got a Langmeyer Crossfire plasma table. It is a 2x2 table that operates on a plasma cutter, which I've got set up with a Yes welder. Today I'm going to do some test cuts. I'm going to get my table filled up with some water. It's pretty cold out today, so I'm running the diesel here. But anyways, uh, I've got some cuts designed up that I finally figured out how to do on Fusion 360, and I'm going to work on getting those cut out. I also, if you notice, the air compressor is no longer in here. I now have it wired into my panel. I built a shed for it outside. Everything runs through the wall. I've got a 3-stage air dryer. I've got my plasma cutter hookup already designated, and my hose reel is no longer over there. It is now on this wall with things that I use quick attached right there. So today you're gonna have to bear with me, but I've got a smudge pot to build, a little 5-gallon that a customer ordered while I was on vacation. So I'm gonna be getting that done today and doing some teaching with a guy that is trying to learn how to weld. So uh, I'll get you guys involved as much as I can, but just bear with me.
You keep on running around with other women in town. I've had enough of these games.
Oh, look at me. Man, look at this fancy stuff. All right, guys. So I just got done cutting out those 2 pieces on the plasma table. They are. This is our fill neck flange. So basically, you get a 3-inch piece of pipe, about 3 inches to 4 inches tall, that come up off of this, and it just sits there on the front of the air tank. So essentially, it's a fill neck. Then this piece, they bolt together. This little tab gets bent up and becomes a spinning tab that allows you to close it off to choke off the airflow, and this allows you to meter the airflow. So I'm going to get these cleaned up, and then we're going to start working on tearing this tank apart. I got to take the valve out. I got to cut the handle off. I got to mark my hole for my chimney. I got to mark the hole for this. I got to build this, and then I got to take and patch this hole. And then once I get the chimney marked and I get our recirculatory valve or our recirculatory pipe put in, I got to mark it on the pipe, cut it, weld those 2 together, and then weld it all out, and then we can do a test burn. So I'm going to get to cleaning these up, and you guys can just watch along. I'll do a speed through on it. But yeah, so that's where we're at currently. Move my phone over here. All right. Alright, so if my audio is not the greatest, I thought I charged my microphones last night. Guess I didn't. So they're charging right now. So we're gonna get the shape of these, where the little blow ends on the CNC was. There's like little indentations where it kind of blew in and started its cut. I'm gonna kind of clean those up a little bit with the bench grinder. And then we'll be ready to weld this out. So yeah. I'm gonna just set y'all right there. So basically this is what I'm looking for. It's a little more cleaner all around the edge. You can't really see where it blew in. This is my first really time using that CNC, but I'm pretty happy with how these turned out. I was having to cut them by hand, and this is a lot nicer. Yep, so now that this is all nice and cleaned up, I can take and put that little bend in this. I'm still in the midst of using the old vise to do this type of stuff. So eventually I plan on making myself a press brake. There's a Swag Off-Road. They sell a kit where you can buy the 12 or 20 ton 12 or 20 ton press from Harbor Freight that has a bottle jack in it. And they sell all the fixture attachments that you have to assemble and weld out to be able to do these bends more precisely. So that is the goal, is to eventually get one of those, but right now I still got to use the old big man-made vise and a hammer. So yeah. But I got really bad hands, so doing this is a lot of fun. Instead of holding that hammer for a while and beating on it. Just makes for a lovely day. But it still turns out pretty nice. I mean, it's not the greatest thing in the earth, but this is just basically a little lip so that you can, when this is all assembled and you're sitting around the fire and you're trying to enjoy it, you know, you don't want to have to reach down. And I mean, a lot of guys, they weld like a bolt on here or something like that, but I like to do this little tab just because it's different and it's something that I think is pretty cool. But so essentially, to give you an idea of how this works, there's your air control. So choke it off, you kill it. There's wide open. Kind of give you a view from the inside. You know, this is choked off, and then you can meter it. So let's get this welded up. And well, I got to cut a piece of pipe, but let's get this welded up and get this air tank started getting cut, get it all done up, and then build this smudge pot. So another little thing that I don't have just quite yet is a bandsaw. So right now, the way I cut my piping, this is really the only cut that I make besides the circuitry pipe. I just cut it with a reciprocatory saw, and they're always not the cleanest cuts. Sometimes they, get off on the angles, but the flat part is what I'm worried about. So this flat part gets welded to our flange. I like a tight fitment, that way I can just run one good beat around it and be done. And then the part that looks all ugly, like me, is the part that goes down in the tank. So let's get this cut out to what we want lengthwise, and we'll be ready to weld it out. ain't the straightest cut on earth, but this is the side that I'm worried about. Like I said, this part goes down in the tank, so nobody's even gonna see it. All right, so when I weld these out, I use my welder MCT 520 multi-process welder. I don't have any gas bottles right now. This is all DIY kind of stuff that I do. So right now I just do a lot of flux welding, but I think it turns out pretty nice. So let me get that welder set up, and then we'll be ready to go. So, this part, obviously, this is our wood flap. It does not get welded out. It'll get a bolt. So I'm going to mark where that bolt hole goes before I weld this out, and we'll be good to go. Now when I weld these out, I usually do draw side up towards the weld. And essentially, what we're working with. So, I don't know if you can see that on camera, but we're going to start welding her out. Now that we got it welded out, I'll grind it out and get that assembled, and then we'll get it welded onto the tank. So now, I'm going to go ahead and start cutting on this tank and getting it ready to go. So I'm going to move back over there and remove this valve and stuff, and get the handle off and whatnot. Valve out, and we'll start marking our holes for our cuts of the plastic. So, a lot of times I get these out pretty fairly easily. We'll see how it goes today. Oh yeah, that one was not very tight at all. Probably would have leaked, honestly. Alright, now with the valve out of the way, I can grab my templates. So kind of caveman style, I use a cardboard template, that way I don't have to balance the pipe, mark all my holes. So mark these out, get them center punched, drill it out with a 5/16 bit, that way I can blow into them with the plasma cutter and make these cuts. I'm going to be making 2 cuts right now, well 3 cuts. I got to cut out that valve body. Or the thread insert where it screws in. We'll be cutting it out, cutting out the exhaust pipe and the fill neck. So I use where the handle is welded on, I use it as my guide to tell me that I'm at the top of the tank. That way I don't have to guess on whether or not I'm at the top of the tank. And whenever I do this cut, it'll actually come out. So there's that for the exhaust. And I do my fill neck almost at an angle on the front. So, take this lovely piece of cardboard, we'll mark it out. And this last little side, I can freehand it, and that's the two sides. Alright, so now I'll center punch my holes where I'm going to start my cut. Cut out the bone, the threads. And I'm just going to drill it out with 5/16. Alright, there's that one. So now we'll get the plasma cutter hooked back up and I'll get these cut out. Get our pieces out of our tank. Now that all of our pieces are out, we can check fitment. Make sure that we don't have to do any more notching or anything like that with the plasma. So that one right there is going to be just fine. So essentially, this is what it looks like. It just sits there like that. It doesn't fall apart like that. Our green exhaust pipe is used for our fill neck, so it'll fit perfectly. Alright. So now, I can get set up to weld this out. I may actually clean out just a little bit of this. I think I'm going to take another little, maybe ½ inch out of this curve. And then that should fit in there a lot nicer and smoother. Let me get that done real quick. Now, get this welded out, line our exhaust stack, get it marked for the hole to be drilled, and then for our circulatory pipe. Once those two things are done, then we'll weld it all out. Be done. fill neck has been welded in. Pretty much what it looks like. We'll do the exhaust next. Get it marked up, and then we'll fill in this hole here, and then we'll get everything ground out, looking nice. Got all that flux all around it and everything, and we'll be ready to line her up. So this is our exhaust. It's a 48-inch piece of 3-inch exhaust that we use as our chimney. So there's your chimney. We'll make sure everything's all nice and straight. Almost 90 right there. 89.9. Trying to get it almost perfect. I'll take it, 89.9. Then we'll look at our side to side. And we are damn near in the middle. So, 89.9 this way, damn near in the middle there. I'll take it. It ain't going to be spot on perfect. I mean, it could be, but once you start welding, it'll pull it whichever way. So. This is our circulatory pipe that I'm going to start using a new style. I was doing just a straight 90 bend, but I feel like if I use what's in this box to get it poured down in the pipe, when I say down in there, more at an angle to get the return pieces. Essentially, I'm going to be using a U-pipe. We're going to cut it more. We're going to cut it more in here, in this area, so that way it's angled into the pipe and it picks up those fumes and recirculates them back into the tank for more light, stronger flame, and a smoother burn. So I'm going to get this kind of about where I'm going to want it on the tank, and we're going to mark it. We're going to be marking it about where we're going to cut it. Alright, so now that I've got that marked, I'm going to go cut it with my reciprocatory saw, and then we're going to come back and I will mark on this pipe where this pipe is going to intersect with it, mark it, cut it, and then we'll weld them together. That'll give us where this hole is going. We'll cut this one out. We'll grind all this paint away. We'll get everything welded up, and we'll plug in that hole. Alright, so now, this is not going to line up here. It's too close to the fill. We essentially have to mark on this pipe where these are going to intersect. Once this pipe goes inside of this pipe, it'll actually bring it closer to here, of course. Then we'll be able to get this mark and then get it cut out on the plasma. So now, what I simply have to do is get my pipe completely straight. Straight up and down. So now it's straight up and down. We're at 89.9 front and back. I'm going to take my Sharpie and I'm going to mark on this up pipe where this pipe intersects with it. In this area, and then I'm going to mark where the bottom is, but because we're going for that turn down in, I'm going to come up about a ½ inch, and that's actually where it's going to wind up being, because once it's inside the pipe, it's not going to be down as far. So now I'll take all this off. I'll take my up pipe off, my chimney off. Lay it on my table. Now, I can do this with a plasma or I can do this with a hole saw. I prefer to do it with a hole saw just because it's quick. But for today's video, I'm going to do it with plasma. I just got that new plasma and I'm trying to get my juice out of it. Getting everything marked out. That way, I can cut it through the plasma. All right. Now, I'm going to drill a pilot hole. Plasma to get it shut. Now I'm ready to cut it out with plasma, get that knocked out, and we'll go from there. It's not going to be perfect, so I'm going to have to do some notching, I'm sure, with the plasma to open up that hole a little bit more, but that's okay. this pipe is going to intersect this pipe. And as you can tell, you're definitely going to have to push down the hole a little bit more. Now, we're going to work on getting this welded out. That way I can mark my hole for the tank. So, what we're working with is a circulatory pipe. Got it on the flat table. That way it'll stay nice and straight. Get it all tacked up, and then we'll run the weld down. Tacked on this side, now I'm going to flip it once it cools off, and get it tacked up on the other side. Now, I can run the bead all the way around. Alright, now we're welded out. Get it all done. So now all I gotta do is take and mark my hole for the recirculatory. Get it cut out, plug that hole, grind everything out, make it look nice. After I weld it out, then we'll be ready to fire her up. that way. We're good that way. So now I'll take it, make sure that this all looks nice and lined. And I'll take my Sharpie, mark out this hole. They can start to put just a starting point. I'll go get my step bit. Get our first hole drilled. Be able to take plaster and cut that hole out. That's been cut out. Essentially, I'm going to take and clean up some of this paint so that way it'll be easier to weld around. Get our exhaust mocked up. So we have good fitment. May have to notch out that little piece a bit, but that's okay. I just need to open up that hole just a little bit. Basically get it to sit where I want it. I want that pipe to be straight up and down. And they're straight up and down there. So I'm going to look and see what it looks like. Not like my eyes are any better with the level, but just to see. Okay. Now we're going to get everything tacked up and ready to go. now that everything's tapped up, we're good to go on that end. We'll go ahead and weld out this little deal here. Essentially what I'll do is I'll just take a piece of filler metal and we'll turn it upside down and we'll just weld it from holding it, this way out, and that's how we'll do it. Alright, so we'll just do that, and we'll be good to go. I just need to get the paint off. So now I'm going to work on getting all this welded out, and then we're going to grind everything out, get everything looking good, and then we're going to mark our vent holes or our vent lines. I usually do 15 of them, 5 on each side. I'll show you how I do those with a simple little jig that I made, and we'll get those cut out with plasma. We'll get our flapper bolted up, ready to go, fill it with some fuel, and do our first test fire. Now it's time to get everything cleaned up. And then we'll move on to cutting out these vents, getting everything, get this put together, and we'll line her up. Everything's kind of cleaned up. I'm going to take and mount our flap deal, and then we're going to cut these holes for our vent. So we get this hole drilled. I'll drill our hole. Then I just use hex cap screw. So now, hex cap screw goes through that hole, and that's what bolts our deal together. Let me pan you back over to the table. All right. So now we bolt this thing together.
Everywhere I go.
we might have to open our hole up just a little bit on there. The plasma, the CNC didn't really make that hole that good. So, take a step bit, knock it out real quick. Now our hole's done. Good. So now, you just fold it down. I use a lock nut on the back. A little too tight, but that's okay. Just loosen it up just a little bit, snug it. There we go. Now our vent is installed. That's how we add the fuel. So, all that's left to do now is our vent holes in the back of our chimney. So essentially the way that I do these is, this is a hole sawed piece of 5-inch exhaust. The center hole from the hole saw, this is just a hanging on my shelf, but this hole essentially tells me where the next one's going to be. So I go and I start at the bottom and I use this mark and that mark. I draw a Sharpie line. I go up until that Sharpie line is in that hole, then I mark the next. This tells me how wide I want them. That tells me where the next one is. I do 5 on each side, 3 sides. Cut them out with the plasma. So let's knock that out real quick, and then we'll get this thing test fired up. Get a little bit more of a bend in it. So, now what I'll do is essentially start at the bottom and I'll work my way up. I'll probably put 18 of it in this one just because it's a smaller pipe. So what's nice is the hole saw hole allows for the next one to be in the same amount of the pipe. Stick with 5. So I've got 5 marks up this pipe. I don't know if you can see them, but that's where I'm going to plasma cut the vents for this exhaust. We'll do the same thing 2 more times around this pipe. Alright. So now, I'll show you guys what I'm talking about. So essentially what I'm talking about is I've got these lines, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill a hole, and then I'm going to hit it with the plasma, and then I'm going to knock it in with a pry bar and a hammer, and we'll knock it in towards the flame, so that way as the flame draws up, it's sucking in air through here and through here, and the fumes that have made past this area where the air and all that mix in together, the fumes will come back into this pipe, back into our tank to recirculate. So let me get these holes drilled and then we'll get it cut with the plasma. All right. Now we're going to cut these out. Take it, use a hammer, pry bar, knock these in, and we're good to line. We're going to give her a shot. Now I just literally take a hammer and a pry bar. These tabs in. So there is a finished Long's Fab and Repair smudge pot, 5 gallons. This is the smaller one. I enjoy making the bigger ones because you get the bigger exhaust stack, but I give people what they want. So I'll give you guys a panoramic around it, and then we'll put her outside and get her fired up, and you guys can see how I like it. All right, so here it is. This is our 5 gallon. There's our fill neck with our flap air control. You got your vents cut in the back. All right, guys, so we got our smudge pot outside. I'm gonna go get the fuel and then we'll get it lit, and you guys will see just how easy it is to light. A lot of people get confused on how to light them. I use a brush torch on a little propane bottle. Stick it right there in the fill neck. Works great. So let me go grab my fuel. So the fuel that I use, Red Farm diesel. There's oil mixed in here with no water. You don't want to have any water in there. And I do about 3.5 gallons of diesel, how much ever oil I've got laying around, and about 2 gallons of gas. This will last quite a while. It's all mixed together, so it's not just straight gas or straight diesel. A lot of people, they don't like burning gas in them, but I don't mind it. So let's get to torch. This is our torch setup. It's literally just a brush burner on a propane bottle. Light it, stick it in there. It almost lights immediately because of the gas. So yeah, let's get some fuel added. I'm probably only going to put maybe a gallon, maybe 2 in here, because I do have to take this to somebody today, and I don't want to have that in my car. So now we'll just add about a gallon or 2 in here. Just simply add it through our fill neck that we welded up. So we added about a gallon of fuel out of our jug. And now we light. So the easiest way is literally just get your flame going, turn it up, and now it's lit. Simple as that, guys. We're getting a lot of airflow. You can turn that down with our flapper. That way it's just strictly getting a nice, good, clean burn. And at night, you would see the flame. During the day, you're really not going to see it. But I'll give you guys a walk around of it burning. Now that it's lit, we've got our air at about 3/4. Getting a pretty clean burn coming out of the top. It's sucking in air here. And yeah, it's pretty much all there is to it, guys. I appreciate y'all coming along for the build today. And y'all have a good one, man.